Okay, and here we have the IQ Mini. This product was sent over to me from Hangsen for the purpose of this review. If you like, you can go to their website at ivapeiq.com. Let's go ahead and open up the box and see what this little pod system comes with. Okay, so when you first open up the box, you'll see your IQ Mini device right here on the top. And if you pull that little lip underneath, you'll have a couple cards here. You're going to have a caution card. That's just going to let you know how to fill the pod, to make sure when you fill the pod that you let it sit for a few minutes, and information like that. Additionally, you're going to have this little IQ Mini user guide, which is literally just one page of information and then your warning. And you're going to have your USB charging cable, and that's all. Okay, so here is the IQ Mini up close. Let's go over the specs real quick. The product size is going to be 46 by 50 millimeters by 9.4 millimeters thick. The weight is going to be 70 grams. The resistance of the coil inside the pod is going to be 1.5 ohms. The voltage is 3.7 volts. The max output is 7 volts. Battery capacity is 240 milliamp hours. The cartridge capacity is 2 ml. So let's go over the features here. At the top, you'll see you have your little plug here for vaping. First thing you want to do when you get your pod is remove it, and then you're going to remove this little plastic sleeve. The plug on the top is not your fill port. That is your airflow for vaping. Going to remove the bottom plug there, and you're ready to fill. The e-liquid that I'll be using today in this pod system is the Baked Goods Glaffle Donuts. This is a 78 VG, 22 PG, 3 milligram Nick salt, and this is made by Pillar of Clouds. See if I can get up close on that fill port for you. It is a nice triangular shaped fill port, so it does leave air. So it does leave space when you're filling it for the air to escape, which I really like. Let's go ahead and just give that a good solid squeeze. Replace the plug. And now what I like to do before I even put the pod into the device, you see here this airflow tube that goes here to here. What I do is I place my thumb over the bottom, and then I'm going to go ahead and puff right there to try and draw some of that e-liquid up into the coil. You see if you can see down there in that hole? You can actually see the horizontal coil right there, straight down through that airflow. So I bet if I wanted to really prime this really quick, I could take a needle tip bottle and actually put a drop or two of e-liquid right there on that coil to saturate that cotton. Unfortunately, I don't have a needle tip bottle with me right now, so I'm not able to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let this sit and soak up for a minute, and we'll talk about some of the features of the IQ Mini. Okay, so here's the IQ Mini with no pod installed. There's the top. That's where your pod will go. Taking a look at the back, it just says Mini on the back. On the bottom is where your USB charge port is located. This device does do pass-through. And then here on the front, right there is your little LED indicator light. That's going to let you know when you're puffing on the device, as well as your battery indicator. So it does say in the manual that this is a 30-minute quick charge. So the 240 milliamp battery would go from a dead battery all the way up to fully charged in 30 minutes, which is really nice. That's really fast. Also, of course, it is an open pod system, so you can put your own e-liquid in the pods. And like I said earlier, it is draw activated. So let's go ahead and check on our pod and see if it's ready to be vaped on. Okay, so this pod has been sitting for about 3 minutes. I think it's as primed as it's gonna get. So we're gonna go ahead and place it in there. And with this pod, there is a right way and a wrong way to insert the pod. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to look at where your contacts are on the pod and where the contacts are down in the device. Now, I did notice there they do have two very large magnets down at the bottom and then a very long magnet here at the pod. We'll go ahead and line up those contacts and see how it seats down in there. Yeah, definitely held on pretty strongly with that magnet. I mean, it's not hard to take out, but you can feel some resistance. It's definitely not going to fall out on you. So that is the iQ Mini. Let's go back up top, have a vape on it, and I'll give you my thoughts and opinions. Okay, and that was an up-close look at the iVape iQ Mini by Hangsen. So what are my thoughts? Well, let's get into the pros first. First is going to be the fit and finish on this tiny little device, and of course the stylish colors. I am in love with this beautiful purple color. It's really nice. The paint finish on it has held up wonderfully, especially with pod systems. You are putting them in your pocket a lot. You're putting them in your console, you're putting them in your purse. So these things really do take a beating for their small size, and this one has held up really well for me. So really big pro on that, on the paint finish and everything there. Now, speaking of the stylish design, you'll notice that it does look quite similar to a Apple product, and that has seemed to be the theme that iQ has been doing. All of their devices look kind of high-tech gadgetry, whether they look like MP3 players, iPods, things like that. They do seem to focus more on the stylistic appearance to the pod, and really nothing major has changed on the inside of them. So some people might be turned off by the fact that this looks like one of those old Apple shuffles, and some people might want it for that fact. For me, the shape for me is not comfortable for vaping on. As far as the shape goes, as far as aesthetics, I really do like the shape of this device. Only thing I wish is that they would have had a little bump out mouthpiece there rather than having to try and vape on a square. Next pro is going to be that the pods have the 2 ml capacity and they're refillable. So you're going to be able to put your own e-liquid of choice. These pods work with both regular nicotine and nicotine salt. I am right now vaping a 3 milligram nicotine salt, and I will say it's not satisfying as far as nicotine consumption, as far as a nic hit. I have no nic hit with vaping 3 milligram nicotine salt. But if I were to put maybe a 6 or a 9 milligram regular free base nicotine, or maybe a 25 milligram nicotine salt in here, I could definitely see this being very pleasurable and giving me a good nicotine fix with the device. But I wanted to use 3 milligram high VG e-liquid just to see if these pods could keep up and handle. And while they don't perform the best under high VG, they do perform. I find that I can do 3 to 4 draws on the device, and then I do need to sit it down and give it time to catch up and resaturate with e-liquid. And I would say that's because of the viscosity of the e-liquid that I'm using in the device. So next pro is going to be that it is a rechargeable battery. So it has a 240 mAh capacity battery. Now that's not big by any means. You are going to have to recharge this several times throughout the day because it is only 240 milliamp hours. What I do find nice though is that it has vape while charging. So yes, while charging this via the USB, it does support vape while charging. So if this was your only device, you can use it while you're charging it, and I really like that, and it's a big pro for me. Now let's talk about some cons that I have for the device. So one I already mentioned, and that is going to be that it doesn't have any protruding mouthpiece on the pod. That makes it uncomfortable for me to vape on it. Doing a mouth to lung is really uncomfortable because with a mouth to lung, to get that good pull that you need to activate the puff sensor, you need to be able to create a tight seal. And with this square shaped design, I find it's difficult for me to create a tight seal for mouth to lung. Let me go ahead and demonstrate to you how I do a mouth to lung and then how I do a direct lung. So here's mouth to lung. not a lot of vapor. And I noticed that the sensor down here, I don't know if you'll be able to see the sensor when I vape. You see how the sensor went on, but then it went off? That's because I'm losing the pressure that I'm building up in my mouth to do that mouth to lung. So I'm not able to get a good, strong, solid hit off of it without having a mouthpiece. All they would have had to done is include just the tiniest little bump out on their pods for a mouthpiece, and people would be able to get a tighter seal, and then that puff activator there would be more consistent. So it's not very consistent puffing at mouth to lung, but what I did find is that I can do direct lung, and then I can build up way more pressure because I'm using the pressure from my full lung capacity, and then I get a much more satisfying hit on it, and I'll go ahead and show you that. So there's kind of a half lung, direct lung, because my finger was covering the sensor. And I want you guys to be able to see that, because that's important, that I notice sometimes that sensor will stop working. So you see how that sensor stayed on the entire length of vaping until I stopped drawing on the device. So the sensor does work much better doing a very restricted direct lung puff on this device than it does the mouth to lung. So mouth to lung, on this device. Direct lung, I'm really enjoying it. The flavor on the pods, it's there. It's kind of like a very toned down flavor. With these kind of pods, I find that you have flavor, but it's like someone turned down the volume on your flavor. That's kind of what I feel about it. Now let's go to my next con, and my other only con that I have for it, and that's that it didn't come with an extra pod. I think all devices, when you're doing pod devices, I think all companies should consider putting one extra pod at least in the package for their consumers. Just include another pod, you guys. That would be really great. So that's my thought on the iVape IQ Mini. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, click that subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, don't forget to hit the little bell notification icon so you get notified the next time I upload a video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.